safe and warm. It is hot in the Cayman Islands. It is only going to get hotter, so I'm very nervous for my hair and also my body. I hope that everyone is having a good week and weekend. Today's video is going to be a prenatal yoga video. So this video is going to be good for all trimesters, so safe for third trimester. As long as what you're doing feels comfortable for you, then you are good to go ahead. Of course, if you are nervous, just talk to your doctor before beginning any different things that you would normally not do. If you've never done yoga before and now that you're pregnant you want to start doing something, I would suggest speaking to your doctor ahead of time just to make sure that that's something that would be suggested. I would like to note that I have gotten a kitten, so hopefully the video is not bad, but considering how noisy and naughty the grown-up cats can be in my videos, I'm not hopeful for how the kitten is going to be. Again, I forgot to charge my mic, so we are in the ambient sound of my home, so hopefully she is good and not too loud for this. So for this video, we are going to need a lot of props. So I have 2 blocks with me. If you can bring 2 blocks with you, at minimum 1. You can do a heavy stack of books, just something that can kind of hold some weight on it. Then that's great. I've also grabbed a pillow from my bed. Having the nice long pillow or a bolster or something is really helpful. So you can grab a couple of bed pillows, as long as you're comfortable sitting on them. I've got a strap with me as well. I've also got a folded up blanket and a bunch of pillows just from my couch. So whatever is going to help support you and make you feel the most comfortable. Of course, you want to make sure that you're listening to your body, especially now, if not normally. We like to make sure that we're always kind of listening to what feels good in our bodies every day when we're practicing yoga, but especially when you're pregnant, you want to make sure that you're not overdoing it and overstretching, as there is a lot of relaxin in the body right now, a lot of hormones that are kind of loosening you up in certain joints and certain tendons, muscles. We want to make sure that we don't overstretch in this practice today. So this is not the time to be a hero. This is just a nice video that's going to help maybe relieve some tension in your hips, that kind of stuff, give you a little bit of relief from the weight of creation. So grab your props, get some water, make sure that you hydrate yourself, and let's get started. Okay everyone, so we're going to start seated as usual. You can obviously start out sitting on a couch or a chair or the edge of your bed. If you would like to come sit on the floor, then you can go ahead and grab a couple of pillows to place under you, and you want to be sort of leaning forward so you're getting that nice anterior tilt to the pelvis. If you find that you're sinking back in your lower back, you want to make sure that you raise yourself up a little bit more so that you can be sinking forward. I've got a little blanket under my feet. I just have a very hard floor and very bony ankles, so please do be careful with that as well. Make sure that you're propping things that you wouldn't necessarily always think about. So we're just going to start with a little seated meditation here, just to drop into the body and make sure that we're tuned in. So palms can be face down on the knees for grounding, or they can be face up for receiving. You can clasp the hands in the lap, or whatever feels comfortable for you. Rolling the shoulders up and back, growing nice and open across the chest, tucking the chin slightly to grow nice and tall through the crown of the head. And just beginning to breathe in and out through the nose. It's my cat sneezing. And we're just going to start to tune in to the present moment by using the 5 senses. So just observing the taste of the tongue and the mouth. So just observing the taste of the tongue in the mouth, peeling it away from the roof of the mouth, allowing the tongue to drop heavy, perhaps the jaw to loosen a little, maybe your teeth and your lips part slightly. Just beginning to notice any smells. Perhaps you have a candle close by. Maybe you've recently lit some sage or Palo Santo. Perhaps you just had dinner so you can smell the food. And just observing the light behind your closed eyelids. Perhaps you notice the flickering of a candle, or maybe there's just steady light. Or maybe you're feeling a little bit more zen today and you don't have a lot of lights on, so it's a little bit darker. Observing the sounds in the room. Maybe you hear your family off in the distance in the house. Perhaps you have crazy pets as well that you can hear getting into things. Perhaps you can hear my pets getting into things. The sound of my voice. And then just noticing the feel of the air against your skin. Perhaps you have a fan on, maybe some heat. I'm feeling the weight of the body pressing down. The weight of the hands on the knees. Perhaps noticing the weight of your baby. And just not getting stuck anywhere with any of these things that we observe, but feeling free to allow them to pass by through your internal gaze, if you will. The point of meditation isn't just to have a blank, empty mind, sit there for 2 hours. You can observe the things in your surroundings that'll keep you in your present moment. You can notice sounds. Just always bring your attention back into the body and back into the breath. So as we have been seated here, beginning to perhaps deepen your breath, perhaps you've noticed that your baby is getting a little active. Deep breaths can often cause a surge in oxygen, obviously, in the blood. And this can create a little bit of excitement or dancing. So just noticing if that's happening. Just observing it. Continuing to breathe. Perhaps noticing in the body now just the sensations. So not labeling any sensation as good or bad. Not getting stuck or locked in on anything. Just scanning through the body and observing where you're at today. You want a picture of what you're working with for this practice today. So just scanning down from the top of the head, noticing when you reach a place that has a little bit of sensation. Perhaps you have some tension in the shoulders. Maybe you notice some lower back tension. Of course, you're going to notice the weight in the belly, perhaps movement. Maybe you're noticing some soreness or sensation in the hips. Maybe now that we're seated, you have some tingling in the feet now that the weight is off of them. Just seeing where you're at. And throughout this practice today, trying to make sure that you stay tuned in with your body. Of course, the body feels different every day on a regular day, but especially when you are pregnant, you are going to notice that one day things might seem totally fine in a certain pose, and the next day it's going to feel impossible. And try not to get discouraged with that. Just notice that your body is changing, obviously. You're creating a whole another one. So just being easy on yourself with that and noticing if there is discomfort and pain, that it will eventually end. And just doing whatever you can to nourish yourself in this moment until that time comes. So we're going to take a couple of cleansing breaths here just to release any last tension and stress before we get moving. So taking a deep inhale through the nose, opening the mouth, exhale, let it go. Twice more, deep inhale through the nose, opening the mouth with sound. Maybe shrugging the shoulders slightly on our last deep inhale. Exhale, let that go. Beginning to blink the eyes open. We're gonna just get a little stretch in our upper back. So if you are sitting on a couch or a chair, perhaps moving down onto the floor now, or you can still stay in the chair for a little bit longer if that's more comfortable for you on your hips. If you have been seated with me and you find that you're growing uncomfortable, adjust yourself, add more props, move the way you're sitting, shake out your legs, whatever you need to do to sort of reset. We're going to interlace our fingers, pressing the palms out away from us, and we're going to drop the chin to the chest and pull the shoulders almost as if we're rolling the shoulders forward. So you really want to press into the upper back here, allowing the chin to drop, pressing into the hands, feeling that stretch through the scapula on the back. And inhaling back to center, we're going to take these hands that are still interlaced and lift them up overhead. So noticing if you're arching your back here, trying to tuck the tailbone just slightly, just to keep the rib cage in line, and trying to drop the shoulders away from the ears. Taking a breath here, feeling the arms stretching out, maybe pulling them back past your ears. And if it's comfortable and you would like to, you can bring the gaze up towards the hands, pulling the shoulders open. Exhale, releasing the arms back down. We are going to, if I can read my own writing here, we are going to grab a block. So 1 block, 2 blocks, whatever you would like. We're just gonna inhale, sweep our arms up overhead, and exhale, tilting forward. So we do wanna grow up nice and tall so that we're hinging out of our hips, creating space. You can move the legs a little bit farther away from you. We're gonna keep them crossed, so just keep a note of which ankle is in front. So just beginning to sink forward, using the block to support you. Depending on what stage of pregnancy and or flexibility you're at, you can always come down to the ground if you have the space. And if it's comfortable for you, you're gonna feel that stretch in the glute, perhaps in the hip joint. If you are using a block or pressing against the floor, making sure that you're not sinking into the shoulders, we want to roll the shoulders down the back, keeping the chest nice and open, breathing into the belly, in and out through the nose. And slowly pressing our way up. We're gonna switch the cross of our ankles. So most of us tend to have a favorite side when we're sitting cross-legged, so you probably automatically came into that. So switching the ankles probably feels very odd. It does for me too, it's very strange. Inhaling, reaching the arms up overhead, hinging at the hip, starting to sink forward, reaching for your block or the floor, depending on what feels comfortable. Keeping the shoulders rolled down and relaxed. Breathing in and out through the nose. Noticing if it feels comfortable to perhaps drop the chin to the chest. Again, this doesn't mean dropping the shoulders in. We do want to keep nice and open across the chest. Feeling that stretch in the hip and the glute. And slowly coming back up, we're gonna drop our block away from us for now. You may want it for this next one, depending on the space that you have in the body. So just sort of see how you feel. We're gonna do some lateral stretches, get a nice stretch in our side body. So you can switch back to your favorite cross-legged if you would like. We're just gonna bring one hand down beside us. So if you would like to bring a block for support, you can go ahead and do that. We're gonna inhale, one arm up overhead. You can choose whichever side you'd like. And we're gonna just start to rock over to the other side. Pressing into the block or the floor, we wanna make sure that our sit bones stay equal on the floor. So instead of coming up here, you wanna be pressing down, so almost pressing away, and making sure that you're not dropping the chest here. We wanna stay nice and open in our front body. Breathing into the side body, maybe feeling the ribs expand as you breathe. Maybe baby's moving around. What the heck are you doing, Ma? Gaze can be up at the hand or down at the ground, whatever's comfortable for you. Inhaling back up to center. We're just gonna switch over, other side. So grabbing your block or the floor, sweeping the arm up overhead, And beginning to lean over to the opposite side. Again, making sure that you're pressing both sit bones into the ground and peeling that shoulder back so you're nice and open in the front body. Again, gaze can be up or down, whatever's comfortable on your neck. Breathing in and out through the nose. Breathing into the rib cage. Creating that space in the side body. And inhaling back up to center. We are going to roll over onto our knees. If you find it more comfortable to do your cat-cow spinal stretches while you're seated, you can continue to stay seated like this. I just bring the soles of my feet together, and you can inhale and exhale this way. Otherwise, let's roll over onto our knees. If you have a folded up blanket that you can bring underneath your knees or a pillow, please grab that. You want to make sure that you're not using too much pressure on the knees here. So this is going to be a nice stretch to open up the spine, but also help us to, what is the word I'm looking for? Stabilize the core. So we're going to plant the hands, wrists lined up under the shoulders, knees lined up under the hips, pressing into all of the fingers. And now notice here if you're allowing the weight of the belly to pull you down. We do want to try to tuck the tailbone, have a little bit of light engagement in the core here, just so that we can be stable in our spine. Gaze is straight down at the floor, not between the hands, not up. And we're going to inhale. With your inhale, you can drop the belly heavy, tilting the tailbone up, rolling the shoulders back, almost as if you're trying to squeeze the scapula together, and lifting the head if that's comfortable for the neck. Breathing deep, letting the belly fall. Noticing how it feels to have the weight pulling down against you as opposed to standing up straight like you usually are. And with your exhale, we're going to start to tuck the tailbone, press into the hands to pull the shoulder blades apart, tucking the chin to the chest. Really stretching into the upper back, squeezing that air out. And inhale, dropping the belly, opening the front and back body. Exhale, curling away. And just flowing through a few of these with your own breath. Noticing what feels good, what feels comfortable for you. Again, if this doesn't feel good, you can do this seated. And you can also start to bring a little bit more movement into this. So if you feel that you're craving a little more movement and stretch in the rib cage, you can start to gaze towards your bum while you crunch it in towards you. Inhale through center, dropping the belly just like we did. As we start to come down, we look over the other side, crunch the other side body, and then exhale through center. So it's like you're creating a circle here. This is called sexy cat. I bet that's exactly what they look like, right? So just really getting as much or as little movement as feels comfortable for you. Again, as I mentioned, there's a lot of different hormones in the body right now. So you do want to make sure that you're not overstretching. It is very easy to overstretch yourself when you are pregnant. So just being careful. Switching directions if you were making circles. Flowing with your breath. Inhale and exhale. And coming back to neutral here. If you have another blanket, grab that. If you only have the one, come down off of it and just roll it up. And you can bring a pillow under your knees if you would like that support still. And just bring your rolled up blanket or folded up blanket, whichever feels better for you, behind the knees. So I like to kind of press myself forward so I can stick it right up in there on both sides. And then we're going to sit back onto our heels. Again, this may be comfortable and great for you. This may kill. So it sort of depends on your anatomy. You can bring a block behind you to sit on if that helps take some of the pressure off the feet. Just beginning to sit back and allowing the blanket, the pressure to sort of work into the calves here. And from there, we are going to do some shoulder rolls. Sorry, I'm having some trouble with my sprained ankle. That really hurts to sit back like that. So you stay sat back, I can't. I'm gonna pop a weird leg here. So we're just gonna take one arm and just grab our shoulder. from here, we're gonna start to roll the shoulder up and back, just starting to release some of that tension. Maybe you wanna reach for the back of the neck instead of the shoulder. Maybe you wanna do real dramatic ones. I personally live for the drama, so go ahead and choose chaos if that's what you love. And just getting a couple of those nice rolls. And then when you're ready, when it's comfortable, just beginning to roll in the other direction. So perhaps holding your shoulder, rolling, or whipping the whole hand. Breathing throughout. And coming back to stillness, we're gonna switch to the other side. So just beginning to roll into that shoulder. Feeling that stretch. Perhaps rolling the whole arm. Whatever feels good for you today. Maybe you typically love a dramatic, huge circle, but today it just feels good to have a tighter circle. Just notice how your body's feeling today. And when you're ready, just switching directions. Always breathing in and out through the nose, noticing what is gonna feel good for you. We are coming back to stillness. We're gonna sit up off of our blanket, remove the block if you have one, and we're gonna bring our blanket back under our knee. And you can fold it up however much you seem to want it. Give yourself a little space at the front of your mat. We are gonna come into a lunge here. So again, making sure that you're doing what feels good. This might be really uncomfortable. This might be like so sweet. So using whatever you need to assist yourself, you can grab 2 blocks. We're gonna step one of our feet forward to the outside edge of the mat. So we want both of our hands on the inside of this knee here, instead of a standard lunge where we're in the middle. We're gonna create space, allow the belly to have what it needs. You can bring your hands to 2 blocks or some stacks of books or straight to the ground if that feels good. And we're just gonna start to sink forward just to where it feels good. Again, be very careful. Notice that you're not overstretching here. So sinking forward. If you would like, you can take the toes out to a 45-degree angle. If you want to come even deeper into the hip, you can roll onto the outside blade of that front foot and really sink into the hip. So whether you are kind of out or if you're trying to keep your foot in a little bit more, just feeling the space that this creates in the hips. So you should feel the stretch in the front hip flexor of the back leg. And you can move here, of course, as well. We don't have to be stagnant and still in yoga. You can be rolling your hips if you'd like to do that. Personally, I've got super old lady knees, so rolling around on my knees like that is horrific. So for me, I like to get a little cushion under my knee and just sit into my hip here. And notice if it starts to get really intense, perhaps backing away a little bit. Maybe if you would like to add a little hamstring stretch, just pulling the toes up, straightening that front leg, and then sinking back into the hip, allowing that space for the belly, breathing deeply in and out through the nose. Notice if you're really hunched in your shoulders, just releasing the shoulders down, pressing the floor away. Leaning back, maybe stretching that hamstring again. And coming back forward. We're gonna do a little bit of a wonky transition here. So we're gonna plant our hands on the inside of our foot. The foot that's in the bent leg in front, we're gonna start to bring back behind us. And we're gonna start to swivel to the side. So taking this bent knee that was on the ground and twisting it around so that the foot is behind you, almost as if we're in a side plank. So we're coming into gate pose here. And again, noticing if these transitions don't work for you, if you need more space like a block, grabbing that, we're gonna plant the foot as well as we can, and we're gonna come up. So if that isn't gonna work for you, you can always just lift yourself up straight up onto your knee. So we're coming into gate pose. So this is gonna bring some stretch into the groin, into the inner thigh. Just growing up nice and tall. Hands can come to the hips, and just starting to lean over the straight leg. So if you are putting pressure on the leg, just making sure that you're not pressing on the knee joint. So you can be above, below, wherever you land there. Maybe you want to bring the arm up, or maybe you just want to keep the hands on the hips. Just starting to sink over to that side a little bit. And then coming back up to center. And we're gonna come back down however you would like. Just resetting the hips. We're gonna switch onto the other side now. So my notes are full of cat hair somehow. I don't know how this keeps happening. We're gonna swing our other leg forward, again to the outside of the mat. Grab your blocks or come to the floor and just start to sink forward into that hip, feeling that nice juicy stretch in the hip flexor in the front of this long leg here. You might even feel it down into your quad, a nice quad stretch. Just making sure that this bent knee stays with the ankle pretty much lined up under the knee. We don't want it back here. That's gonna pull into a different area and it's not as good of a stretch that we necessarily want in this moment. So you want the foot forward. Again, you can open the toes to a 45-degree angle to open the hip. You can roll onto the outside of the foot, or you can keep the toes facing forward, whatever's gonna feel good for you. Noticing if you're clenching your jaw, noticing if your shoulders are creeping up to the ears. Again, if you start to feel a lot of sensation, maybe leaning back, stretching into the hamstring a little bit, giving that hip flexor a break. And leaning back into the hip again. Again, if you'd like to take other movements here that feel good for you, maybe some hip rolls, anything like that, please go ahead as long as it feels good for your body. And perhaps leaning back again to stretch into the hamstring. And now coming into gaze pose again, however was the most comfortable for you. We're gonna swivel this other leg so that the foot is behind us, almost as if we're in a side plank here, and we're gonna come up. So planting that back foot up nice and tall, starting to lean over the leg. Maybe you wanna release the hand, maybe you wanna lift the other arm, or you can just stay with your hands on your hips. If you feel that you don't have enough space to do a side bend, you can just extend that leg out a little bit farther away from you, and that's gonna create more of that stretch in the groin and the inner thigh. And just coming back up to center, releasing back down. Now that we are done that, we are going to come to standing, and we're actually gonna come against a wall. So I'm gonna move the camera, so there will be a little split second here where I'm gonna have to do some editing, which isn't good for me. So pray for me. It might be very abrupt. Come to any wall where you have enough space to kind of put your hands on the wall, lean down the wall, put your legs up the wall, all of that. We want all that good space. So I will move the camera now and just bring with you, well, you don't need any props for this first time. We're gonna come back to the wall twice here. So no props needed for right now. So just go ahead and find a clean, empty space of your wall that you can come to and have room to move. Okay everyone, so just finding the place of your wall. Welcome to the other half of my home. I apologize for the mess. The cats are a little crazy today. Also, I haven't cleaned. So we're gonna come to a nice shoulder stretch here. So this is gonna be an open shoulder stretch. So we wanna place our hand along the wall here, and we want our arm to be in line with our shoulder. So just bringing the shoulder to the wall, and then beginning to twist yourself open. Just find where it feels comfortable, trying to press the hand and the elbow and the shoulder into the wall. You can hold onto the wall for support, perhaps bending a knee if you'd like. Breathing. Just taking a moment here to feel that nice stretch across the pec, across the shoulder. You can always scrub off any fingerprints later, or make someone else do it for you. And just releasing slowly. We're gonna switch sides. So again, making sure that the hand is lined up with the shoulder, and just beginning to twist your body to the center of the room. Spreading the fingers wide, pressing into the fingers, pressing into the shoulder, breathing. And that nice stretch, opening the chest. And slowly releasing. We're gonna do a front shoulder stretch. So placing the hands flat on the wall in front of you, you're just gonna start to walk yourself away. And start to sink in between your shoulders here. You can also do something like this against a chair or your counter. Breathing here, perhaps bending into the knees slightly. And as we walk ourselves up, just coming into some semblance of your puppy dog pose. So in this one, we're gonna bring our hands higher up the wall, and we're gonna start to sink our chest to the wall. So just maybe moving your hands up the wall more, bringing the chest down, breathing. This one can be very intense, so noticing if it feels comfortable for your lower back, and then just coming back up. We are now going to do goddess pose against the wall. So this is really good for strengthening the inner thighs and your legs so that you can have that, you know, stability to carry your baby around. Just ignore the cats behind me. They're making a lot of noise. Hopefully you can't hear it very well. So we're gonna open the toes, come into a bit of a squat. We wanna make sure that the knees aren't tipping in, they're tracking out, tucking the tailbone, arms up like a goddess. So we're gonna be doing this against the wall. So pressing your back into the wall, you can start to widen your stance here and just begin to sit down. If you're worried about dropping here, you can also grab a chair and notice if you have that arch in the small of your back, just trying to tuck it against the wall. Perhaps bringing the arms up, stretching the shoulders open. Feeling this strength, maybe your thighs are burning. And just staying for as long as you want, as long as feels okay. When you're ready, you can place the hands on the knees and use the bum to kind of press you away from the wall. And now we're just gonna do a wide-legged forward fold against the wall. So pressing against the wall, bringing the legs out as wide as feels comfortable, we can start to sink down. Stretching into the hamstrings here. If you'd like to bring your hands to the floor, you can go ahead and do that. Or if you'd like to bring a block under the face, you can do that as well, or keep your hands on the wall or a chair. Just stretching that out, maybe rocking the hips a little bit. Breathing deeply in and out through the nose. And we're gonna slowly walk ourselves back up. Whenever we do any postures like this where we're inverting, you wanna make sure when you stand up, check in, make sure you're not too dizzy before you come away from the wall, from your support. So we are gonna go back to the mat now. I'm gonna switch you back around, and we're gonna get going with some more moves over there. Okay everyone, so back at the mat, we are going to come into our malasana or our garland pose. So this is a squat. Make sure that this feels really comfortable for you. You can start to come down. I like to sort of step my feet out and start to rock side to side, perhaps moving my feet out a little bit wider until I feel that I have enough space in my hips to sink my hips down. So you want to maybe tilt your toes out a little bit. You can do this with your feet face forward depending on your anatomy if your knees are okay with that, but you want to make sure that your knees aren't tilting in. We can also grab a block here and bring it to the second highest height and just come to sit on that. So you might want to bring your knees forward and sitting up nice and tall, perhaps using the elbows to press the knees open. You can also do this by bringing your hands into heart center and then pressing the wrists down to press the knees away. So just feeling this nice stretch in the hips. Listening to my cats playing and being crazy, as usual. If you'd like to come deeper, you can also drop the block down one. Just finding whatever level of support that you feel that you need. You can even bring a pillow or a blanket onto the block here. I find this a very nice hip release. So if you're feeling a lot of pressure and pain in the pelvis and the hips, this might be something that feels really, really juicy and like releases really well for you. Or you might find that just having that stress in the hips, the stretch happening, is feeling like just too much for you. So you can always come down to seated. Of course, if you practice yoga a lot, you can come to your full expression of the pose where you're kind of floating. But again, making sure that this is going to feel comfortable for you. This is really good also at strengthening the pelvic floor. So it's a really good pose for all of that. So just coming down to seated, however is safe and comfortable for you. We're just going to do a couple of moves here before we come into our Shavasana. So coming seated on the ground, where am I in my notes? we are going to come to forehead to knee pose. I say that loosely, don't worry. So bringing one foot in as if you're cross-legged, the other foot is gonna come out. You're gonna start to lean to the side. So as if we're stretching over this leg, you can maybe grab your foot, your shin, or just bring your hand to the ground in front or behind, and starting to feel that nice release, the nice stretch up in the side and perhaps the lower back, the side of your lower back. Again, we wanna make sure that we're not tilting forward too much. So opening across the chest, again, you can bring the arm up, or you can just hold on to the leg, the knee. Perhaps you want the hand on the hip or the lower back. Gaze can be up or down, depending on what's comfortable for you. Breathing nice and deep. And then inhaling ourselves back up to center. We're gonna switch sides. And again, you wanna rock up nice and high so that you are not sinking into your back. If you are sinking a lot and you find it uncomfortable, you can always bring a pillow or a blanket under your sit bones just to give you that nice anterior tilt to the pelvis. And again, we're just gonna start to roll ourselves down the side, opening the chest, bringing the hand to the lower back maybe, perhaps bringing the arm up if that's comfortable. Breathing into that side body. In and out through the nose. Hearing the cat's destroying my damage deposit. And inhaling back up. We're gonna come into Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose or bound angle pose. So bringing the soles of the feet together. You can have the feet as close or as far away from you as you would like. Holding onto the shins here, just to pull yourself up nice and tall. Again, if you have very tight hips, it can be very hard to even just sit comfortably in this pose. So if you find that you are sinking back, again, bring a prop under your sit bones so that you can be nice and tilted forward. So as if you're hinging at the hip. We're not necessarily coming forward in this. If that feels good and you would like to sink forward slightly, go ahead and do that. But otherwise, just sitting up nice and tall and rolling the shoulders back. Breathing. If you would like to take a teeny tiny twist here, we don't like to twist a lot just because of where our abs and everything have moved. But you can twist just lightly by placing your hand behind you and sort of just coming to the side. We don't want to try to come all the way around here just with where the muscles have moved, like I mentioned. So you can press against your knee here and just sort of twist yourself a little bit, just so you feel a little bit of that twisting sensation in the side bodies, the rib cage. And back to center, maybe twisting slightly to the other side. Again, if it ever feels uncomfortable, just stop doing it. You don't have to. And back to center. We're gonna come back to the wall again. I'm gonna stay here and come up this way so you won't be able to see me from the side, but I'm gonna tell you how to set yourself up. So you wanna grab your blanket. You can fold it up nice and tall if you'd like, and that's gonna come under your hips. What we then wanna do is grab a bunch of pillows because we're coming towards our Shavasana now. So you can bring your wider pillow sideways or lengthways, depending on what feels good for you. I'm also then gonna bring some pillows up on top. So we wanna make sure that we're not too inverted here. And notice what's comfortable. If it's not comfortable for you to lay on your back, perhaps making this a little bit more of a tilt, perhaps grabbing blocks under it, might feel a little bit more comfortable for you, maybe bringing a pillow like this. So just play with it. You never have to stay anywhere. You're not locked in once you find your pose. So we're gonna come towards the edge of our wall, sitting on our side here, like Snow White. Stunning. Now, we're going to start to bring ourselves to the floor, and this is how we're getting our legs up the wall. So you might wanna bring your hips really close, or maybe you don't want them that close. You don't want that heavy of a hamstring stretch. We're gonna start to fan our legs up the wall. And then you can, of course, just press into the wall to get yourself comfortable. You want your bottom pillow, whatever that is, your blanket, to be sort of under your sacrum, so not necessarily under your back. You want it under your tailbone kind of area. And then your upper pillows, move them to be comfortable for you. And I'm a little bit far away from the wall personally for what I like.
So just observe that, wiggle yourself closer. Perhaps if you have someone in your house that can just push you closer to the wall, if you have a slidey floor, that could be a fun new game that you try. And it's not graceful, don't worry, it's not supposed to be. And we're just gonna bring our feet into bound angle again against the wall. So walking your feet down to as close to you as you would like. Again, I wanna be a little bit closer. Never happy. Here we go. So always just noticing and then scooting yourself in if you need to. I like to be right against the wall. And I also have very bony edges of my feet. So if you notice that it's kind of hurting your feet, you can grab a block or a pillow or a blanket and just bring it up under your feet. I can't reach a pillow. Are you guys like screaming at me where the pillow is? But if you are uncomfortable, just grabbing something, placing it under the feet, just to relieve a little bit of that pressure off those little tiny bones there, and just releasing the knees to the side. You can also bring the hands to the knees and press them out if that feels okay, not pushing yourself too much. Perhaps just letting the arms fall out to the side here, supported on your back. And we're just gonna do one more sort of inner thigh stretch now that we're here. So you can, there goes the kitten. You can bring your legs up the wall and then just start to drop your legs out to the sides, coming into a wide-legged pose here. Feeling gravity, perhaps pulling your legs, stretching them out. And again, noticing if this feels like too much stretch for you, you don't have to do it. It's just a nice release on the inner thighs. Breathing. And whenever you're ready, we're just gonna step the heels in towards us as if we're in that malasana, the garland pose, against the wall. So almost like you're in a squat. I also automatically sort of start to rock side to side here. It sort of massages out your lower back a little bit. So bringing the legs nice and wide, just letting the hips release before we come into our Shavasana. So options for Shavasana, you can stay in this if this is comfortable for you. You can stay with your legs up the wall. This is really helpful just as a whole, but also especially when you're pregnant. If you have swelling in the ankles, this is going to allow any of that swelling to drain back away, release the lactic acid. So you can stay here. If you would like to prop yourself up and lay on your back on the floor in a sort of more quote-unquote standard Shavasana, you can do that. If laying on your back is not comfortable at all, you can also come to a fetal position, laying on your side, and you can prop that up a lot as well. So if you would like to do fetal position, you can always bring your blocks into it. This one can be really nice and juicy and relaxing. So I like to sort of prop my blocks up, one on the highest, one on the middle, and then make sort of a little diagonal with my pillows. You can bring another pillow here and start to come down on your side. Just finding where feels comfortable to have the blocks. You can bring your arm up, finding your balance, and just laying like this as if you're in the fetal position, grabbing some pillows, bringing those in between the knees. This can feel nice as well. So just moving yourself around and finding what feels comfortable. Personally, I love to take this sort of a variation on my back. So again, playing with that maybe if you'd like to do that, but this might be too much of a back opener depending on what feels good for right now. So I like to do this and allow the knees to fall open. If you have more blocks or some quite puffy pillows, you can place those under the knees for support. You can also grab your strap and bring it around the knees just to pull them in so that they feel a little bit more supported. So whatever you choose for your Shavasana, your final pose, just getting there, wiggling around, making your last adjustments, your last necessary movements, and then coming to stillness. Just allowing the body to fall heavy into whatever pose you've chosen. Releasing the neck. And feeling the weight of the body fall heavy into the floor. Feeling nice and supported there. Knowing that you are held. Relaxing to the sound of my kitten. Like we did at the beginning, just taking a few cleansing breaths to allow yourself to drop into this pose here. So we're going to take a deep inhale through the nose and opening the mouth, let it out. We're going to do that twice more. So deep inhale through the nose, open the mouth, allow yourself to sink into the floor. Last one, deep inhale through the nose and let it go. Closing down the eyes. Bringing the attention into the breath, back into the body. You may notice that your mind starts to wander a little bit, which is fine. Without judgment, just noticing that when it happens. Just accepting that, allowing it to pass by. Bringing the mind, bringing the attention back to the breath and back to the body. So just relaxing here, knowing that I won't leave you in Shavasana, so the video won't just end and you're gonna have to try and figure out when to get up. I will make sure that you are brought back out of your Shavasana, and I do very strongly suggest that you take Shavasana. Of course, you can always end the video here, but I think it's very important to come into this final pose, allow all of the movements that we've taken today to just sink into the body, and allow the body to just come back to stillness and relaxation. A lot of us are very busy, we have a lot to do. So just taking these last few minutes to just do nothing, just exist. Breathing, just doing this one thing for just you. Allowing the breath to flow comfortably as you release the body down. As always, if you hear little sounds outside from your neighbors or in your house. Maybe you hear the sounds of my cats causing havoc. Just observing whatever that is that drew your attention, and then always bringing your attention back. Saying thank you, that was interesting, and then letting it go. Noticing when the mind begins to wander, and just bringing it back to the breath.
all the time that it takes just to stay in your good grace. Lately I've been thinking maybe you're not ready for me. Maybe you think I need to learn maturity. They say watch what you ask for, 'cause you might receive. And if you ask me tomorrow, I'll say the same thing. I am ready for love. Would you please lend me your ear? My voice, my eyes, my soul, my mind. Tell me what is enough to prove I am ready for love. I am ready. Beginning to deepen the breath. Bringing small movements into the fingers and the toes. Perhaps rolling the wrists and the ankles. Maybe taking a nice big stretch here. And when you're ready, just very slowly bringing the knees up and rolling yourself off the wall, onto your side, into the fetal position. If you're on props, just coming down off of those onto the floor. Resting in the fetal position for a moment, just allowing the body to settle. Using the bottom arm as a pillow. And when you're ready, just keeping the eyes closed or heavy. Using the hands to help press you up, coming back to your seated position, your cross-legged position. Perhaps grabbing a pillow to sit on. And just bringing the hands to Anjali Mudra, heart center. Or laying the palms flat on the chest, just bowing the head slightly. Taking a moment to feel gratitude for yourself, for your physical body, for moving you through your day, moving you through this practice, creating life, all the incredible things that it is capable of. In times of struggle, especially if you're nearing the end, you might be feeling a lot of pain or tension. You might be ready to get this over with already. Just taking a moment to really feel grateful that your body is able to do this. And really feel grateful for any of the assistance that you have in your life. Just your own strength. Knowing that you can do this. You are strong and capable always. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. The light in me acknowledges and bows to the light in you. Namaste. Thank you everyone so much for joining me today. I hope the cats weren't too much of a distraction. They started to get a little crazy at the end there. I wish you all the best of luck with your pregnancies, the remainder of the pregnancies, the births. Please always comment below. Let me know if you know what you're having. Let me know if there were postures that really helped release some tension, what worked for you. If you have other postures that you intuitively do that feel really good, let me know. I would love to learn as well. Obviously, having never had kids, I don't really understand how it feels. So please do share that with me as well. Of course, you can always find me on Instagram at Harmonious Hippy, which I will mention in the comments box below if you are worried about spelling or anything like that. You can also direct message me on there to let me know how things are going. As always, I'm here for support if anyone needs it at all. And just know that, especially in this time and once you've given birth, your mental health is so important. It's easy to feel, I think, that you are you against the world and that you are the only person that can take care of your children, your child. But of course, always reaching out to your community is very important because you need to feel like you as well. So of course, message me, maybe message me once you've had your baby, send me a picture. I'd love to see that. And have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, a wonderful weekend, and stay safe. And I will see you guys next week. Namaste.